What's up, traders? Welcome to the Day Trading Show. Today, I'm sitting down with my co-host, James Bruce, and a special guest, Kyle. A lot of you know him as JadeCap, joins us to talk about his prop firm experience. Now, Kyle has made over $400,000 from prop firms, so he has a lot of experience to share. He also has 11 plus years of trading experience, so he's got the financial and the time backing to really bring a lot of value to you. Now, I want to let you know, if you want to trade with our team of professional traders, there's a link in the description for a 3-day free trial to ASFX TV. This is where you can watch me and other funded traders live using the strategies we teach. Now, not only do you get to watch us live, but you also get to watch recordings and exclusive video uploads as well. ASFX TV is the Netflix for traders. So if you don't know about it, hit the link in the description, take the free trial, and come check that out. Now, enough of that. Enjoy the episode with Kyle or JadeCap. All right, everybody, we are back with another episode. So today we are sitting down with my new friend, a good friend, Kyle. A lot of you know him as JadeCap on Twitter. Kyle is a prop trader who is really, I want to say, stepping onto the scene as far as like Twitter and Instagram and stuff for the first time, but Kyle has a lot of trading experience. So Kyle, I'm looking forward to chatting with you. We got James here with us as well. James, what's up, bro? Good to see you.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. It's good to be with you guys. It's definitely good to be with you guys. So Kyle, first thing, bro, you are kind of newer to the social media space. So tell everybody your short 30-second story, if you could, real quick. Catch us up on who
So
you
I've
are.
actually been trading since 2011, and I guess my social media presence has really only blossomed in the last, I would say, 6 months maybe. I can't remember when I did my Trading Nut interview, but yeah, that interview kind of put me on the map. But I've been behind the scenes just kind of grinding like most people are.
Nice. And before the social media stuff, you said since 2011 trading. What did you trade first when you first started trading? What did you get into?
Yeah, I actually started out with Forex. That was like my first market, and it really is my main market still. I haven't really, I mean, I've dabbled in crypto and indices, but I haven't figured out the nuances. So, I kind of just stick to what pays me.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about with the funding stuff? Has any of these other markets like appealed to you? Since I know some of them, they offer like crypto trading on the weekends. They offer really good spreads for some of the indices. You still haven't been sucked over there yet. Still trading.
No, not quite. I mean, there's a couple firms that are coming out, like a crypto fund trader is one of them. But I did check out like their web platform. It's a little bit slow and laggy, but I did see that I guess they're going to update their services and provide MetaTrader 5, which is nice in the future. And I know that True Forex Funds is like, they offer pretty much raw spreads on crypto. So, a certain percentage of my portfolio is probably going to go towards crypto, swing trading crypto markets.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Is there any firm that you prefer right now if you had to pick one? Who are you funded with as well?
So I'm funded with multiple firms. I'm funded with FTMO, My Forex Funds, the Funded Trader, True Forex Funds, and I'm almost funded with the Funded Engineer. I'm kind of working on that right now.
Nice.
And yeah,
Nice.
I was funded with Surge Trader, but I blew that account for whatever reason.
It happens to everybody, bro. I love the guys on the
I love the
Instagram.
honesty.
Yeah,
Listen, you got to be honest, right? Like that's a cost of business that I'm not going to get back. Maybe I'll attempt it again in the future, but for right now, like my bills are being paid by these other firms, so I haven't had a rush, an urgency to try and get funded with them again, But again, like the landscape is shifting so fast. There's so many firms coming out. It's honestly hard to pick and choose the right ones.
Well, that's why I ask. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this, they're watching because they want to know, who should I get funded with? I'm not funded yet. Who should I go with? What do you think about the changes that are coming in the prop industry? Because I know you recently sat down with some of the guys that run, I think it's the Funded Trader, and like you mentioned, another new company. So you're getting, your hands in front of and getting your face in front of a lot of these guys that are probably at the forefront of what changes are coming in the industry. So let's jump in right there. Give me a little bit of insight if you can. What changes do you think are coming?
I guess my thesis behind it was like I'm trying to test out every single firm that comes out, right? Like if I have the income, I'm going to try and test them out and see what the new parameters are like and how it actually trades, right? So a lot of them are kind of moving towards no time limit, and they're still offering you the leverage that they typically would have as a 30-day. So it's super interesting to watch because it's happened so quickly. Like FTMO, I think you started trading with FTM originally, correct or no?
Mine was my Forex funds. James was
Okay, okay.
FTMO.
I started with FTMO. Yep.
Right. And it's only been like a year and a half, right? Like the Funded Trader is about to celebrate their 2-year anniversary. And just thinking back to when FTMO was the only firm, really that was, I mean, in my opinion, that was like the first firm that popped up on my feed. So I kind of see them as like the dinosaur. They were like the originator.
Yeah.
So a lot of firms are, they have business models shaped around that, but now they're adding in like no time limit. Some of them, like the funded engineers, are, if you hit the scaling plan right now, they're adding drawdown to your max drawdown limit. So like if you hit 3 months of profitability, I think you have to hit 10% over 3 months. Right now they're going to add, I believe it's 1 or 2% to your max drawdown limit. So you can get up to 20% as a max drawdown over the course of like a year, right? But it requires you to trade a bit aggressively at first. But I confirmed with the CEO, like once you hit the first scaling tier, the 3 months, they really only care about you staying profitable for the remainder of, whatever is past 3 months, right?
Yeah.
So adding those max drawdowns allows you to keep the account. But again, like in my opinion, you never want to draw down that far below your.
Well, that's what I was just going to say, bro.
initial
Why
watermark.
are we drawing down 20% if you're profitable?
Exactly.
Right. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. James,
So like when you say 20%, right? Like to me, that's 2%. Like I don't really want to draw down like 2%.
explain that to everybody.
My
though,
initial
'cause
balance.
Some
Right?
people
So like
are
if
not.
you have a 10% drawdown limit, right? Let's say just to make things super easy. Let's say it's a 200K account, right? They give you 20K in drawdown. You don't want to draw down more than like $2 to $4,000. Unless you're like a super experienced trader and you can withstand those really deep drawdown periods, like scale back and take it easy for a little bit.
Why? Because you're saying once you hit the 4%
Yeah.
one day and then you hit the 4%, now you're down 8% in 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, let's say you go down let's say you go down half the drawdown. Now essentially you have to double that drawdown balance, and that's really hard to do. I mean,
very hard to do
for a professional trader that understands the math and the probabilities behind it. It's not hard to crawl out of that, but just crawl your way out of it. A lot of people hit those drawdowns and they get super uncomfortable being in a losing period, a losing stretch, and then they just start. It's like the martingale system, right?
Yeah,
you start adding in,
right. Adding in the losers, right? The market's going against them, and they think it's going to turn around and go in their direction, and they start adding back in the losers, and it snowballs effects on the way down, right? So I've been on, like last week I was on a 30% win rate, and I made 20 grand. Like, I don't have to win all the time. Like, do you want to make money or do you want to win, right?
What do you credit that to?
It's honestly
is that your ability to cut losses right there?
It's your ability to just take the loss in general. Because like the first 4 or 5 years of my trading career, I had a really bad habit of just moving my stops, right? Like,
bro, I think that's most traders. Most traders make that mistake.
This trade's going to turn around. Like I have faith in this trade. Like they start praying to God or whatever that this trade is going to turn around, and it just never does. Just eat.
Why do you think that is, bro? Do you think that that's traders' ego? Is that always our ego to think we're going to be right?
It's part of it, and like a lot of people that come into trading, they want to be super competitive. Like they see it in the movies, like it's super cutthroat. Like, and it doesn't. It's not cutthroat in the sense that it's me against you, right? Like when I'm trading, Austin, I'm not trying to beat you, dude. I'm trying to beat myself. So when you're in drawdown and the trade's going against you, just eat the loss. Like that is the hardest thing to do, but it's the right thing to do.
Yep. How have you gotten comfortable when we had, so for everybody that's listening, we met up in New York. Kyle and I were both on Riz's podcast on the same day. So we ended up sitting down and having lunch, and we were talking about how you've taken, this trading thing and really blown it up into your full-time business. But with that, because you don't have any education or mentorship as of filming this, I know it's coming and we're going to talk about that. But like you were just being honest with me. You were saying like, my wife thinks it's crazy. Some months we're up 40K, other months we're down. How did you build yourself up to getting comfortable swinging like that? Because I think a lot of people think it's overnight. Like you went from trading $100 to then trading thousands and thousands. How did you build up to that?
Like I talk about this a good amount, and it was honestly my career, the career path that I took. Like I got into construction, I started doing purchasing and estimating, right? So I was actually purchasing materials for these projects, these very high-end residential projects, and that got me super comfortable taking, I guess, risk essentially. Like it's not my money, right? But I'm essentially in charge of. I was the sole person in charge of buying out contracts, right? And like when I first got into it, like I I didn't really notice that people were spending this much money on like lumber and flooring and stuff. I'm like, holy shit! Like these people are buying, you know, a door hardware package that's like $1 million, right? But I didn't get there overnight. Like I didn't start out on a massive $20 million project, right? Like I started out on commercial first. Like I wasn't even in purchasing, so I started out on commercial. I was doing like hospital renovations. These projects were like 500K, right? And that alone, to me alone, when I first stepped into that, right, from delivering pizza, going from that through college as an undergrad, and then jumping into construction, and now I'm managing a $500,000 budget is a huge step, right? That was, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago. And you have to work your way up. Like it's a tolerance thing where you're seeing these large numbers and you're actually in charge of purchasing these materials. Then it becomes like a real thing. Like accounting is one thing because I started out in accounting, but when it comes to you actually being responsible for the project budget and actually buying out these items, like it's a whole different ballgame. And
Yeah.
it's almost the same thing. Like you can't go from an accounting career, right? Now you're just taking risk all of a sudden. Like it doesn't really work like that. So when I first got into trading, right, like $50 meant a whole lot to me. So when you're working your way up, you got to slowly build your way up. You don't just automatically start risking 5, 10K in a day and just all of a sudden you're just comfortable with it, right? Because now you're in a trade and it's going against you 5 points and it's only like 10% of your stop loss,
Right.
right? And you're shitting your pants,
Right.
you know? So you just have to get comfortable with all the fluctuations, and it's really different just watching live, just being comfortable, taking that risk and watching, I guess, your P&L fluctuate. Like for me, watching your P&L fluctuate is like the worst thing that you do, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of guys would be better off if they traded with the P&L closed, like the terminal closed.
Right.
So you just trade well without over risking.
Now, yeah, exactly. Like you see the infographics all the time, right? Like Dustin Johnson's making this much per golf swing.
Yeah,
he's not thinking about that. He's not thinking about that when he's swinging his golf club. Like,
yeah,
it's very true.
Do
you feel like the prop firms, because they give you more capital than you had before to trade with, do you feel like it's kind of desensitized you to money at all?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think it's good in a way, right? If you're not gambling and you actually put yourself in an environment where, all right, I'm gonna now manage this capital, and you're managing it properly. Start out small, because every single account size has the same parameters. Like if you can't keep a 10K account, there's no way you're going to keep a 100K account or $1 million account, right? Just manage it the same way. Like literally, I can show you my MT4. It's a demo account that I manage. You could take $1,000 account on the demo, right? And you're trading like $20, $25 positions, and you're looking at the P&L and you're like, oh, 20, 25, $20 to $25. But if you have it connected to like a trade copier, right? Could be up 5, 10K in a day and not even really like notice.
Because you're saying if your other account that you're copying to has real money.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you doing that? Is that how you're running it with the multiple accounts? You're using a copier that's a demo master and then like slaving it to these other ones?
Yeah, you could use it as a live, but the way I do it is I like having an easy way to do the multiplier. So I'm always like multiplying upwards. So like if I take a 0.25% and I want to take a 1% on my funded account, right, I can just easily set a multiplier of 4, and it's taking that in all the other accounts, right? If you do the other way, you have to put a decimal in, and it kind of gets funky.
Got it.
But yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing.
No, that makes sense. Have you ever found success trading 2 accounts or 3 accounts by hand all at the same time, or does the copier make it way easier?
You know, that's funny you bring that up, because I talked about it with Riz and like Paladin and Omar. And honestly, it's like a personal preference kind of thing. Like if you want to be somebody that's trading multiple markets and multiple strategies, like, yeah, it's a good idea to take your capital and split it up into a pool and maybe say allocate a certain percentage towards swing trading or allocate a certain percentage towards this market, et cetera, et cetera. But for me, I've always just found it way easier to just try and be a sniper, I guess, in one market, right? I could be a specialist in one market. Have you read, I think we talked about it, right? Reminiscences of the Stock Operator.
Yes.
Jesse Livermore. He used to bounce from market to market. Like he would corner the lumber market and then go to the coffee market, right? But he's not in both markets at the same time. Like he's in one pit and he's like a whale in that pit. Like he's the biggest trader in that pit. And you kind of have to do that. Like just focus on being the specialist and not trying to trade all these markets, all these different time frames. Like you can trip yourself up doing that, right?
And when you trade, yeah, absolutely. When you trade Forex now, James is predominantly a Forex guy, so I'm sure you two would relate on that. I haven't done a lot of Forex since last year. Does that favor multi-day trading, or are you still intraday trading? Because I saw the GU trade that you had. You've been kind of calling that move for the last couple of days, correct?
So honestly, it depends on like the market condition because sometimes the forex markets go into like really long periods of consolidation, and it depends on the range because I think back when the eurozone crisis happened, this was back in like 2012, right?
Yep.
That was like a 3 year long like 500 point range, right? But sometimes they could go into like extended periods of like 100, 200 point ranges, like we've seen in the pound, where it's like the last 3 weeks it's been in like a 100, 150 point range. So you kind of just honestly, it's all the time frames are just
Fractal.
they're all fractal, right? So that 500 pip range looks the same as the 150 pip range.
Yeah.
So you kind of just have to adapt to what's going on, and understand like when we're going into a trading market and when we're going into a consolidating market because your swing trading strategy is not going to work in a consolidating market. Like it's going to go to the external range of that, that range and just reverse on you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to pull back on you. So
where'd you learn to trade? Like where you brought up in your education originally?
So originally I was trading James 16, which was mostly just price action. And if you follow like Tom Dante, I think he's like one of the biggest proponents of trading James 16. It was mostly just pin bars, outside bars, and trend lines.
Have you ever heard of that, James? Did you say it's called James 16? Is that what you said?
James 16, yeah.
Is that a Bible verse? That sounds like a Bible verse.
I've never heard of that, but I know who Tom Dante is.
Yeah, everybody knows who Tom Dante is for sure.
Yeah, so it's just like pin bar trading, pin bar trading and outside bar trading, and it was interesting to talk with him in my DMs because now most people know me as an inner circle trader, like an ICT trader. I'm not a huge fanatic, right? Like, but he's the one that kind of unlocked the markets for me. But it's interesting to get his perspective on it because his whole thing too was because I failed trading James 16, but it was interesting to get his perspective because he said that it's not just about the actual price action bars itself, right? It's about the context behind where that bar is forming, right? And that's more important than just seeing one bar and just trading it, right? Like one pin bar and just trading it, right? Because the context of where that bar forms is much more important. Like what day is it forming? Like what's the seasonal tendency behind it? There's so many different confluences that you have to build up that builds the the narrative behind him trading that system.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, sorry, go ahead, James.
So I just wanted to ask, since Carl, we both Austin kind of trades the S&P 500 right now. You're now both trading currencies more. What are your favorite currencies to trade, and on what time frame?
Yeah, so a lot of people ask me that, but it's mostly just the euro, the pound, and like the dollar CAD sometimes, and like the dollar yen. So a lot of times my analysis is based on the dollar. And like I had this discussion with Paladin, right? That the euro has like a 95% correlation to the dollar. So if you can just understand where the dollar is going, right? Like, and that's kind of where like I tripped myself up trying to get into indices because I was expecting like that 1-to-1 correlation to the dollar, and it's just not like that, right? Like maybe back during like more smooth in sync market conditions, yes. Like the gold was highly correlated with what the dollar was doing, but right now we're in like kind of uncertain territory, so a lot of markets are just out of sync, and you kind of just have to treat each market as as its own. Like I don't really look at correlation too much.
That's very well said. It's very well said.
That's very interesting. Are you saying, Carl, just for the guys that are listening, are you saying if the dollar index is bullish, right? You have a bullish outlook thesis on the dollar. Are you expecting euro pairs to come down as well as GU and EU?
I guess for the most part, yeah, mostly the euro, at least the euro, because it has the highest correlation to the dollar. I'm mostly looking for the euro to be bearish, but like if you study like the dollar CAD, like CAD has a huge correlation to oil. Right?
Yes.
Crude oil. Yes. So like just because the dollar is going up doesn't mean dollar CAD's going to go up, right? So you kind of have to just trade that market independently,
Yeah. What do you do about fundamental news, Kyle? What's your outlook on that? Like today was Fed Day. Do you trade Fed Day? Do you look out for certain events?
Yeah, it depends. Like I was in a position early in the morning that I closed out. I was in a long on the pound that I closed out prior to news. Usually I'm trying to be flat like before the news comes out because you never know what's going to happen when the news release actually comes out.
Right.
If you give yourself at least like 30, 45 minutes, an hour after FOMC, and go back and back test this, like literally go back and study the last 5 years of FOMC, a lot of times you're going to find really nice swing points in the market where it's either going to, put in a continuation pattern or a reversal right around the FOMC times, right?
Do you find that your trading normally is continuation or normally reversal?
Normally continuation, yeah.
Yeah. So you're a
But
trader.
I can trade both. Like I
Yeah.
feel like I have a full skill set to trade both. I'm just more comfortable trading continuation.
Would you say
Sure.
range trading is what you're least comfortable in?
Yeah, I think so. Just because I like letting my trades run to targets.
Right.
Sometimes like and maybe your listeners know this, like a lot of times I have like a take profit set, but let's say if we're approaching like end of week or a certain news event and it's like really close, like 20-25% come within your take profit, like I'll usually just close the whole position.
Not
I'm
really.
usually
That's
I'm usually
that's what I did.
gone. I'm
That's
usually
what I did
gone.
today.
Yeah,
That's what I did
because
today.
I can't tell you how many times it's come within like 10-20% of my take profit and just completely shit the bed, just reverse on me, and just
Yeah.
I just gave back so much money. And
Yep.
it's I guess when you're trading size, right? I think it's a lot harder, or it's a lot more painful to see all those profits just disappear,
Slip away.
evaporate, right?
Yep.
Yep.
But it is
100%.
like, I would say, if you can get comfortable with it on a small account size, like you're gonna feel the same pain if you're up $20 and it just reverses on you. Like the same pain that I feel when I lose 10 grand, like you're gonna feel the same pain at $20, right? Like
Yeah.
it's the same pain because you're riding a winner into a loss.
Yeah. Actually.
Or break even, right? Like you're
Yeah. Good,
Yeah,
James.
that's it's so true what you say. That's exactly what happened to me today. So I was also long pound, but I was long pound Canadian dollar, right? This morning off the breakout, we had a breakout pattern. One of the patterns that we trade, also in our trade, was up like 23 and a half pips, risking 26 pips. And I was like, nah, I was live on stream filming, trading live. And I was like, nah, I'm pulling that thing. Because I was
Yeah.
like, I saw it pinning and I was just like, this has to come back down to like, only up 0.2 R of what I was like, that would be so stupid on an
See, like it's
FOMC
interesting you bring that up because a lot of people will just say, "Oh, I risk 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 or 1 to 5, and that's what I'm aiming for." Like, no, like a 1 to 1 is still good if you have a high strike rate, right? Like,
Yep.
I don't really look at risk reward. Like, I mean, I guess that's what makes me like a really good discretionary trader is because I just have this gut feel of like when to get out of the market, and that honestly comes from experience because I've seen so many of my trades just reverse on me. Like if a market just rips in your favor, just get out of it at a decent level and not try and hold on for too long.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely something I've learned over the last couple of years for sure.
Mm.
Now, I do want to talk about more of the funding stuff too, Kyle. So with the withdrawals that you've been seeing, because I mean, a lot of people have known, or at least have gotten to know you as a guy that's made a couple $100,000 already from these prop firms. What made you, after being in markets for 11 years, what made you, because I remember you told me about 2 years ago, what made you then decide to finally get into this game?
Well, part of it was like I didn't even realize that they existed. Like these remote prop firms even existed. Like I was trying to apply to your brick and mortar prop firms. I didn't have the education or the network to get into them. So these prop firms just provide you an avenue to get funded, right? And you don't have to have any type of credentials. Like they don't care if you're, I don't know,
High school
whatever
degree,
you are out
college
there,
degree,
it doesn't
right? Doesn't
matter.
matter. Doesn't
It
matter.
does not matter. I think you just have to be over the age of 18, possibly.
But what triggered you to get into it? Like, what did you see? Did you see? Because like for me, bro,
I just saw the potential. I think I just saw the potential.
So you just didn't
behind it.
even know they existed.
Like I didn't even know they existed, right? And like I wasn't making enough money at my job. Like I was at the time when I stumbled upon it, I think I was making like $75,000-$80,000. And I live in New York, and when inflation hits, like
That's
so
like
I had a
enough
late
to live
start.
like
I had
for
a
a
late
month.
start to my career. Like I didn't graduate college until I was like 26, I think. And so when I got into my career, I was already like a late bloomer, so I wasn't hitting like a six-figure salary, which again is a huge salary. Like not a lot of people are making that. So going from that to try and I guess see this opportunity where I can put in $1,000, right? Like at the time, I was kind of working my way up the ladder, and at the time, like I could afford $1,000, right? Like I was kind of living below my means already. I was literally driving a beater to work. My car had 350,000 miles on it. I had no AC. The driver's side window wasn't rolling down. Like there was no front grill on it. It was like, it was bad, bro. And seeing the opportunity, like I was already living below my means, I could spend $1,000 that I would possibly spend on a car or on like a rental payment. Like I was living at home at the time, right? So again, it all comes down to like what you can afford. So that $1,000, I was like, all right, I'm gonna take a couple shots at this, right? And I see people getting payouts. I don't know if it's true or not. Like, I'm gonna take the risk though. To me, it's a business risk. $1,000 to take a shot on something that possibly can pay you out as much as these firms can, right? Like it's literally life changing.
Yep.
And it's amazing to see Paladin do it and Omar do it because they said they started like in the hookah lounge and Uber Eats, right? Like you have the ability to change your life if you have the skill set, first of all, right? And have the, I guess, gonads to put money on the line and risk that.
Yeah.
That's
to
it.
Take the challenge.
It's
right?
always about that, bro. How bad do you want it and how much are you willing to take the risk?
Exactly,
That's it.
exactly.
So when you jumped in, you're like, all right, I'm going to get funded. What was it like when you failed your first challenge? I think a lot of guys see successful traders and they're listening to this and they're thinking, those guys never failed challenges. They don't know. Do you remember that first failed challenge?
I failed like a good 4 or 5 challenges before I got funded.
And when you did that, before you go into this real quick, when you did that, did you take Omar's approach where you're like, I'll just buy these things and risk heavy and keep buying them because I know if I hit on one out of 5, was that
exactly.
Okay.
That was my approach,
that's a little
honestly.
bit different than
that was my approach because like I was trying to get out of the rat race. So like I would not recommend this to anybody, right? Because you could blow your savings real fast. Like I had a certain amount of savings and I was willing to
give it a number. So say like you're like, I got 10 grand and
I was always putting in like 5 or 10 grand into my personal accounts and blowing up 25%.
Blowing it up. Same.
Blowing up 25% and 50% of it. So I was like, all right, no problem. I'm gonna spend 5 grand on these challenges and actually get some leverage behind it. Right. And if I lose it, okay, I'm just out of the initial balance. Like the initial funded fee. But if you make it to the first payout, my goal was to just make it to the first payout and then maybe swing for the fences. So like get the refund, right? So this is exactly what I did. I don't recommend this to anybody out there.
Not financial advice,
everybody. Worked for me though, right? This worked for me. I got funded. So I went for the max allocation at FCMO. It's $400K, right? And to me, that was not that much at the time because I was managing $5 million home projects, right? If you think about it, $400K is just a small portion of that budget.
Yeah.
Right. So if I could trade that profitably, it'd be fine. So what I did was, did a trade copier. I took the same trade on both of them. Right. I literally crawled my way to the first payout, get $100 profit and get the refund. And now you can swing for the fences. And that's literally what I did. And I had a Bitcoin short that probably paid me out like it was $80,000 in profit. My first withdrawal was like 60K, completely gambling. Right. But take that money as like a business event. That's like literally
gambling.
It's a golden egg that falls in your lap.
Right.
Because you have the skill set though. Like,
right.
I wasn't just, it was 8 years before I even touched that funded account. So do you even have the balls to hold a trade that you have that much risk on the line?
How long were you holding that trade?
Honestly, it was a flash crash. Like I was playing, I think I was playing Call of Duty.
That's why I love Bitcoin, bro, because it will just rip randomly in the Asian session overnight, randomly for you.
Exactly, though. But see, that's the thing; it's completely random.
Right.
I could have just completely lost those accounts.
No, for sure. I was just talking to somebody today in our
dropped, I think 15% in like 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe. And it was like a yearly salary in a very short trade. But once I hit that, it padded my savings even more, and then I started slowly building up. As my business grew, slowly building up, allocating a certain percentage of that capital towards more funding accounts, right? I'm not taking that gambler's mindset anymore.
Right.
Right.
So that's a pretty cool story. I wanted to ask now, Carl. So after you swung for the fences and you got it, right? What is your advice now? Because as I said, I watched you on the Trading Nut and I've been following you on Twitter. You finally followed me back now, so that's quite cool.
Yeah.
I've seen your payouts, right? And like flipping inspirational, bro. Like, it's super cool to actually speak to you and that, and you give information like this in the modern technology world. You didn't get this back in the day. But what is your advice? 100%. Yeah. So what is your advice for adding more capital? Would you add more capital now with your different approach? Would it be you put on a trade copy and try and get like $1 million in funding all at once, or would you do like 200K, 200K, 200K?
I think it depends on what your risk tolerance is, right? Because with me, the funded engineer, I'm just going for the max allocation. It's like $2,500, right? Like that to me is not a crazy amount of money. Like I can make that back in a couple decent trades with the capital that I do have, even if I'm doing 0.25%, right? So I guess my thing is, and I guess we'll get into maybe the different funding models, right? Because there's so many different funding models out there to like pad your capital and start growing your capital that you're managing, right? There's so many different ways to do it. Like I guess for me, in my opinion, like the 30-day challenges are probably the hardest ones to pass, right? But they give you the most leverage, right? So those are the ones that maybe if you're trying to just get started, those are probably the best ones to do it with. And I would say like the no time limit ones are probably the best ones to do it with, honestly.
Yeah.
Because they're giving you really favorable. It's like a 1-to-1 risk reward where like they're giving you 10% drawdown to make 10%. Or some of them are even in your favor. Like they're giving you 12%
12% to make 10%. Right.
My Forks funds gives you 12% to make 8%.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's in your favor. Right. So
Yeah.
it's not hard to pass those ones. So I guess my advice is you kind of just have to figure out what program you want to go for. And like what your aim is to get out of these funded programs. Right. So like I guess diving into different types of funded programs, we have CTI and Fivers. Those are like the two competitors as far as like long-term funding. And I think
Surge. Got to throw Surge in there. Even though you blew the account, we'll throw them in there.
Yeah. Surge, Mint Funding, and then Lux Trading.
Yeah.
Those are kind of like the longer term ones. So in my opinion, like Surge and Mint kind of go in their own category because the cost of the initial cost up front is not the same as like
it's higher. Yes.
It's higher. Right. So like CTI and Fivers takes a really long time to get going. Like it's almost like that that parabolic growth curve that they're trying to go for. Like it starts out really, really slow, but when you hit the top tiers, which could take a long time to do, now you're talking some serious money. So like breaking down the numbers, I know Fivers just changed the program parameters with the instant funding. So I think there's like 9 levels that you have to hit. That's like 90% total. I think they give you 6%, 5% drawdown to make 10% or 9% at each stage. So you're only starting out with like 5 or 10 or 20K, right? You have to make 10%. So on a profit split, you're only talking like $2,000 maybe after profit split, $1,000. It's not anything to change your life over, right? Yeah. But 90% over say 3, 4, 5 years. Now we're talking serious money.
Yeah.
Like they're talking, I think you can start out with like 8 5K accounts at the Fivers, which eventually can scale up to $32 million.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So here's
all you'd want to do with that.
If you're going to do thing, though. Here's the interesting thing is if you start out with the higher tiered capital ones initially, I think you can only scale up to like 8 million.
That makes sense.
So it makes sense.
What would you would throw the copier on that?
Harder to get through the first 2 levels, right?
Yeah, you would just throw the.
I would throw a copier a copier on it, and just take the same trade. Literally do 0.1%, 0.25%, and look. You have to look long-term vision. What do I want to do in 5, 10 years from now? Right, 0.25% or even 0.1% of $32 million is $40,000 to $80,000
per trade.
Per trade.
Yes.
And you're not really at risk of blowing the account because you can lose 40, 50 trades in a row.
Yep. Right.
Before you hit that drawdown.
You got to have that long-term
It's hard.
vision.
It's hard to do. You can do it, right? If you're disciplined and you have the skill set, right? So that's one model. CTI kind of has the same parameters where it's like a long-term funding model. And they also they have like the high stakes to try and match like what FCMO and all these other firms are doing. Yeah. Right? So that's one model. Right. And then we have Mint Funding and Surge Trader, which is like a 1-step program. I like that they removed the trailing drawdown because not a lot of people even understand what trailing drawdown is. Right?
No, a lot of people, right. Yeah, it's true.
Like, why am I getting stopped out? I am up 5%, you know? So that's another model, but you have to pay a higher upfront cost, right? So you kind of have to look at how much am I getting for my dollar right now? I think return on investment kind of goes towards like the 30-day challenge or the high stakes challenges. As a return on investment, and then start focusing more on the long term, unless you already have like a nest egg, because like those long term funding ones is going to take you a while to get going. it's not like a right away thing. You're not going to be like
Yeah.
making $500 and quit my job tomorrow. I mean,
Right.
maybe if
Yeah.
you are, maybe if you're from like you know, a less
Right.
privileged,
Different country, somewhere else.
different
Right.
part of the
Not New
country, yeah,
York, not Florida.
not from New York. You know
No.
what I mean?
Maybe
Like
like South
five hundred
Africa or
bucks,
something.
dude. $500 is not even covering my grocery bill. You know what I
That's what I'm
mean?
saying,
Yeah.
bro. Right. Right. So what do you have a number that you recommend to people when they're like, yo, I'm thinking about getting funded? Do you have like a minimum, or do you tell people, hey, start with what you can afford?
I think start with what you can afford, and
Okay.
honestly, if you're taking your whole paycheck and loading that into a funding account, it's probably not the best idea.
Right.
You have to be doing it with some type of
Extra
money
money.
that you're willing to lose, right?
Yep.
Or you have to say like, screw it. Like, I don't care if I'm going to lose this money. I'm still broke. I'm going to be broke if I fail this challenge. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep. What
It's
was
honestly,
no, sorry.
when you tackle it, it's the best thing to do is if you have a nest egg. And I had a nest egg, right? Like, I opened up a business. Uh, I filed for an LLC. I opened up a business credit card, and I saw a lot of people on the comments like, "Oh, this guy's like following a business, trying to like scam you." Like, listen, if you want to do it properly, you want to separate your finances first of all. Like, you don't want to commingle your finances. So, like, first of all, like have some business sense and like do some actual research before you like start spewing garbage to people in the comments that people are actually going to read,
Dude, the
right?
internet is full of garbage. How many
So
wrong
stupid,
pieces of information around trading,
so
let
dumb.
alone taxes and business? There's
Dude,
plenty,
opening up an LLC costs $400.
bro. And the amount of money you'll save in taxes if you know how to set this up correctly, it's
Yeah,
crazy. I mean, you and I talked about that at lunch. Like, it's
yeah.
just mind blowing how much money you can
Listen,
have.
it's not a tax haven. It's a way for you to separate your income and your expenses and
Yes.
actually file it properly as a
Right.
business.
And then get write-offs
Yeah, and get
yeah,
write-offs
and
and stuff
then
like
lower
that.
your
It's not a
income, which
tax haven. You're not
no,
trying.
no, no. And it's
Yeah,
not
you're
like
not trying to just completely dodge the
dodge
IRS.
taxes, but what you're
Yeah,
trying to do is make it look like your business
exactly.
expenses are high, just like your income is high,
Yeah,
so that way you pay less overall in tax.
exactly. So like when people look at how much I've withdrawn, right? Like after taxes, it's not it's not a life-changing amount of money, right?
Bro,
You know what I
people
mean?
just they
I'm
hear
going out
400 and
there.
they think he's got 400. They don't know to take
Yeah,
80 off the top, 100
yeah.
off the top.
I'm not out here, you know, on yacht parties and like
No.
in a Lambo. I mean, I drive a nice car, right? Like, but I can afford it. Like, but like, I'm not living above my means yet.
Right.
Like, or I'm never trying to live above my means. Honestly,
For
I
sure.
think what they say is like, if you can't buy it twice, you can't afford it. And
Yeah,
honestly,
that-
if I can't buy it 4, 5, 6, 7 times, like, I really can't afford it.
yeah, you just don't need to buy it now. Make more money. Save up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, why have you stayed in New York?
So like part of it was like I lost both my parents to cancer, so like I'm in the house that I grew up in, and like it's like a blessing in disguise because I put so much sweat equity into this place. Like I could show you pictures. Literally, this place was like a shithole. My dad was like a huge hoarder. He would just bring home anything to try and fix it, and the yard was terrible. Like me and my wife completely like 180 this house.
That's awesome.
Now it's worth like a good amount of money, and like I feel so comfortable living here. It's like I have family, friends around. I don't think I would. It would be hard for me to move. Like I don't think I would move. Like I would honestly love to move somewhere as like a primary residence
Get the
and
tax
live there for
benefits,
6
save the
months,
state
yeah,
tax.
and be able to just cover the mortgage because my mortgage is like not that bad. Like property taxes are kind of high, school taxes are kind of high, but I don't think I would be in a position to like try and rent this place out to try and make an income off of it because
I think you keep it.
I kind of don't want to like let people in this place and just like destroy it, you know?
Oh, yeah, I think
So
you keep
like
it. And
I
you
have
get some,
there's a lot of sentimental value in me staying in New York. And I'm in a really great area. Like I'm not in the city. I like live in nice suburbs. There's plenty of stuff to do outside, like lots of hiking, lots of breweries, lots of great food. And I'm like an hour and a half train ride north of the city. So I haven't found like the need to leave New York just yet.
yeah, that's fair. Come down and hang out with me for a week in Florida, bro. I'll show you what's up. You think you got a lot
Yeah,
to do
man.
out
Yeah.
there, bro? I'll show you what's up.
I'll be a snowbird, you know? Like
Yeah, that's it. That's
snowbird,
exactly
you
what
know?
if I wasn't living down here, that's what I would do 100%. Now, with that big day, that first big Bitcoin payout, can you share a story about a big loss or something that stung and maybe speak on how a newer trader that is going to go through it the same way that you did, how they could maybe go through it with less pain?
Oh yeah. So I mean, I guess there's a couple different ones. I would say the biggest one that stung the most was probably when oil went negative. I was long on the dollar CAD, and that thing was up
Really?
like I was long on the dollar CAD, and it was up like 1,000 pips, and I got so greedy. And we were just talking about this. I got so greedy. I wanted to wait for the last couple pips. And if you go back and look at your chart on the monthly, it literally came within like 20 pips of like breaking like an all-time high, and it just completely shit the bed after that. And I think I took like my $3,000 account up to like 10K. And this was like during the pandemic, I believe. And I was like at home, right? Like I was trading from home, and I was like, this is it. I'm gonna quit my job. Like
I'm lit.
Yeah.
We lit. Let's go.
Yeah. My 3K to 10K, and like, it's a 7K profit in like a couple days. And I just completely, I mean, I think I took profit a little bit and then kept trying to chase that level. Like I took profit, um, maybe like it was down like 100 pips from my target. I took profit, and then the consecutive following days, I kept trying to chase the move into that level,
Oh,
and it was painful, man. Like I watched my profits it's like death by 1,000 cuts. You just watch your profits just get slowly eaten
so
away.
what did it teach you?
It taught me honestly to just pick my spots more wisely and stop trying to force the market in my direction to meet my targets. Like I'm not controlling the market. Like they don't care about my one standard lot on my 10K 25K account. Like the market does not care about that.
No.
And honestly, even if you're trading bigger, like they still don't really care about you, right? Like there's always going to be some bigger whale out there that's going to just.
Yeah. Who's the biggest trader you know? Do you know anybody that's throwing thousands of lots?
No, not personally. I mean,
neither.
there's probably a couple people that I know, like professionally, that I follow that are probably trading really big size. But I never ask people about their size, right? Like, 'cause to me, it doesn't matter.
Size is irrelevant.
Size is irrelevant, and people don't really understand that. Like, if I call a trade in my room, right? It doesn't matter what size you put on. If you're getting 50 pips out of the market, you could infinitely scale that either way. Infinitely.
I mean, bro, if you go back
All the
on
way down to I guess all the way down to a 0.01, right? That's the smallest
Sure.
you can go.
Sure. But if you
Right,
go on my
but-
YouTube channel, bro, when I started making videos, I always talked, I'm up 2%. I'm up 1%. I lost 3%. And people would give me shit. Why don't you show us how much money you made? Because of what you just said.
Who cares?
It's scalable.
I could
Why
show
don't
you. I could show you how much money I make, but does it really put money in your bank
Does that
account?
do anything for you to take this
It does
trade or
not.
learn from
Yeah,
this
exactly.
video? No.
It's not putting money into your bank account, so
No.
why does it matter? I don't
Right.
care about the guy that's trading 50 lots. Like I'm at a position now where I can trade comfortably 5 or 10 standards on my funded accounts and not sweat it, right?
Right.
But like, I was the guy trading the 0.01 and just realizing that this trade that I take that's profitable, if I can just replicate this
And get more money behind it.
slowly scale up and get
Yep.
money behind you,
Yep.
that's where you're going to make money. And like
That's
the
where
same
you and me
thing-
come from the same
That's
cloth,
the same
bro.
thing just applies in business. Like you don't want to, when you get into real estate, you don't want to go out and buy the multifamily that's fucking 10 units. You know what I mean? That's a losing proposition for you because you have no idea how to manage even one unit. So
Correct.
scaling that properly, it takes time, and like you want to baby step your way into it. You don't want to just go in and be like, all right, this is it. I'm going balls deep now.
Balls deep. Right.
10 accounts and I can't even manage one.
Right.
Yeah.
So now go back to when you first started trading. Now go back 11 years.
Yeah.
This is way back. What would you tell yourself if you could talk to yourself?
Honestly, I would tell myself to just stick to the game plan, stick to one system, because I wasted so many years system hopping, dude.
Yeah.
It was so detrimental to my improvement. And like journaling is something that everybody talks about, but staying consistent doing it, it's the most boring thing in the world. You're going to hate doing it, but it's going to improve your trading because there's data behind it, right? Like not people out there are not analyzing data. That's the thing. Like we were talking about it when we met up. Like I have a Whoop bracelet, I got an Apple iWatch. Now I'm into performance. Like I'm literally trying to track my sleep. I'm trying to track, like you could set up a high stress session on your Whoop and just be like, all right, I'm going to intraday scalp today and see what my heart rate looks like. That's data that you can use to your advantage, right? Like it's seriously, and I take a lot of that from like Tom Danty, because he talked about a guy that was in his prop firm, about some guy that kept a little black notebook on other traders in the firm. Like this guy wasn't even tracking his own data. He was tracking other traders, and he would be like, all right, I see that when you enter the market and you let it retrace on you, you close your position. And 80% of the time it runs to your profit target. So I'm actually, when you close out of your position at break even, I'm going to double down. This guy was making millions of dollars off of other traders. Like he's
off
baiting
their
other
poor
traders,
psychology.
Fading them. Yeah, he's
baiting
fading
other
them.
traders, and he understands your data more than you do.
Yep.
That's the edge that people don't put the work into doing. Like that's an edge in itself. Like
Yeah.
there's so many different edges that you can have in this marketplace. I don't care if you're trading moon phases or seasonality. Like you can do whatever you want. Honestly, we're all trading the same price. Do you have a system with an edge that is that you can replicate? Really, that's the answer to everything. So if I could go back in time and tell myself what to focus on is just find something. Well, I think another thing though too is like find a mentor that's actually going to show you and guide you the way and like actually maybe show you receipts of doing it. Because like a lot of mentors maybe were doing it. I didn't see any receipts. So like I gave up on it really fast. Like I was like, you kind of question it real quick. Like if it doesn't work for you right away, you're like, this thing is not really working for me. I'm just going to hop systems. Right. So now it's so easy to connect with other traders. Like my network is blowing up so fast. And I think you've witnessed it too, right? Like your YouTube channel, there's so much good information out there now, and you're reaching like a global audience that it's easy to stumble across really good information. Everybody's reading trading books, everybody's studying psychology, everybody has like a systematic edge within like technicals. They understand fundamentals. Like you can learn all this stuff for free.
Yep.
But if you're paying for a service, you're really paying for access to that person that's going to guide you. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't have somebody that was like a guiding light until I found ICT. And it was me just saying, all right, I'm going to trust this guy wholeheartedly and just be like, this is it, man. Like, it's do or die now. Like, I'm trusting this guy with my life, literally. You have to just dive into that with that mindset because you could take a simple moving average system. And if you put enough trust in it and have enough data behind it, like you can turn that system into a profit.
100%, bro. I've sat with institutional traders that are doing exactly that.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm not like in the camp of like ICT or die, right?
Sure.
Like there's a lot of fanatics out there.
I know.
And there's probably a lot of failing ICT traders.
Oh yeah.
Not understanding like the psychology behind it, the risk management behind it.
Yep.
That's like the real edge behind anything. Like you can't just start trading ICT and start calling yourself smart money. Like smart money is
no, bro. You call yourself the ghost in the machine. I thought.
No, so like smart money is like how people live their lifestyle. How they manage their money in general and take calculated risks in business.
Do you believe his story though, bro? Do you believe that he was kidnapped by the market makers and they told him the secret? Do you believe that?
It's hard to say. Like I'm on the fence.
Come on, don't give me a hard to say. Yes or no, bro. Yes or no.
I would say no.
I can't believe that either, bro. I'm just saying. Well, the information he teaches.
To me, it sounds like he's such a humble guy and such a nice guy. Like, who would want to kidnap you, man?
Bro, but like to me, it's like, why put that story in place when the information he teaches actually seems to be helping people make money?
Yeah.
Paladin View, like guys are saying the information is good. Why not just tell us your true story? Like, what's the truth?
Honestly, I don't know, man. Like, and that never really like swayed me away from him.
No, because it's marketing, bro. You're not.
I mean, like part of it's marketing and like part of it's his personality. So like, maybe it is a lie. Who knows, man? Like I could start lying about myself.
Yeah.
Right. As a marketing tactic.
Right.
Maybe Roger Banks is doing it, bro.
Right.
Maybe he's like completely lying about it and he's selling this false narrative, right? And it's a marketing thing, right?
It's marketing. Right.
People close to him know that he's just doing it as a front.
Right.
I'm not close to him like that, so I don't know if it's a front or not. So honestly, for me, I always give people the benefit of the doubt. Like I'll never look at somebody and just instantly judge them because people used to do that to me. Like people in business used to do that to me, and I used to feel like slighted by it.
How would they judge you?
Just I think in general, like I would never like if I asked for more responsibilities and stuff at work, like I was always like they were just like they would kind of just like look past me and like other people get promotions and stuff. Like so it always felt like I was hitting a glass ceiling at whatever job I had. And like to me it never made sense because I was always showing them like I have this deep skill set and I can learn extremely quickly. Like I started out in one position. Now all of a sudden I'm managing their website and coding their back end of their website and managing their WordPress. Like this is a different skill set that I didn't show you at first. And all I need is a chance. And like nobody was really giving that to me, right? I got a chance at like a high-end firm and I only lasted like a couple months there. Because as soon as I hit like those higher levels like that I actually did want, now all of a sudden I have a target on my back.
Right.
So now all of a sudden the narrative for me changed when I was like, all right, screw this, man. I have a skill set in trading. I'm just going to take all my trust and just put it in trading.
Yep.
Right. And then that was like me rolling the dice. Like I think a lot of entrepreneurs just take that first leap. And like my good buddy Justin from Canada was always telling me, because I kept telling him, I was like, dude, I can't wait to go full-time trading. I can't wait to go full-time trading. And I was kind of like getting payouts, right? And I was getting payouts throughout like the whole year of me working, like my last year at a full-time job. The whole year I was pulling in payouts. And he said, dude, what's stopping you from going full-time? And literally I was just like, honestly, it's just uncertain. He's like, you're scared. And this is the big thing about putting people around you that don't know you, because they'll tell you straight up to your face, like, you're doing something wrong. Somebody that's close to you is never going to do that to your face.
So
you know
true.
what I mean? So like this guy that didn't know me in Canada had a major impact on my life because
saw the potential in you.
He saw the potential. He was like, dude, you're just scared. Like, you're just straight up scared. And I was like, you know what? I am. Like,
which you have the right to be. Being a full-time trader is not an easy business.
Yeah, exactly. But you kind of need somebody that's like hard nosed to tell you like you're doing something wrong.
Right.
And like if you want to change your life, just be accountable for the position that you're in and take the jump, bro. Like seriously, just take the jump.
You know, they say winning is hard. Doing what you're doing, getting the payouts, winning is hard. Being broke is hard too. Just a different kind of hard. So choose your hard, right?
I think the thing is people just get so comfortable in what the life that they're living. Like I was super comfortable, but like the stress was adding up to a boiling point. Like until you're in that position, I think you have to like kind of like, if you're not in that position, right? Like if you're comfortable at your job and stuff, kind of have to force yourself into a boiling point, because that's when you're going to just say like, all right, I'm going to start making changes.
Yep.
If you don't force yourself into a corner, you're never going to fight your way back out of it, because it's like, you're just super comfortable. You know what I mean?
That's the one liner of the episode. If you don't force yourself into a corner, you'll never be able to learn how to fight out of it. So true.
Yeah.
Kyle, I wanted to ask, since you're on the topic of like, kind of going through change and stuff like that, what changed for you? You mentioned in the beginning about not cutting losses. I think that's quite tough. I know Austin, that was one of his problems, moving the stop loss. That was mine in the beginning as well.
Yeah.
Not wanting to take the loss. What kind of changed for you where you're like, man, I need to just cut my losses if they know? What changed for you?
You honestly just have to you have to keep putting in your mind the probabilistic nature of the markets. I kept like, you keep seeing these statistics that pop up that say, oh, you only need to win 30% of your trades at a 1-3, right? It's hard to implement that because you're like trying to make money in the markets, right? So like you have these adverse emotional reactions every time you're up or down money. Like even when you're up money, you have this adverse reaction of greed. When you're down money, it's fear, right? So balancing that is really difficult to do. And you just have to rely on the numbers. Like it all comes down to like a numbers game. And the big thing that I guess shifted my mindset was, again, like I started being put around these really high net worth people that thought like that, right? They were thinking in numbers, literally. These guys had no idea about construction, but when it came to managing a budget, they were sharks. Every single one of them came from a different industry, and it was so interesting to watch, man, because those people that have money know how to manage money. They're not out here squandering it, dude. Like they know how to just risk in percentages. Like a VC, venture capitalist knows that he's going to lose on 8 out of 10 of his investments, right? He's going for the unicorn that's going to pay him back. And he's just comfortable with the numbers. Like he's just comfortable with taking a bet on this thing. And it's the same thing with professional gambling. Like people call us gamblers. Honestly, we probably are. Like, but what's not a gamble in this life? Like you're taking a risk going into your job, and you're going to get a certain percent in your pay. Right? That's a risk to reward. Like me, literally, I drove to JFK to fly down to Miami, and it was like the worst experience of my life. I was like, thank God I'm not doing this anymore. Because I'm like driving down towards New York City, and people are driving like straight up maniacs. Like they're going 30 miles over the speed limit. So I was like, I'm taking more risk getting in my car going to work than I am sitting at a computer screen taking monetary risk.
Right. Yeah. It's true. Especially in New York. Drivers in New York are great.
It's terrible, man.
Come to South Africa, bro.
It's probably worse, bro.
You'll get goats on the back of the thing. We're actually coming back from a holiday, There was guys sitting on, deck chairs at the back of a car. On deck chairs, sitting, drinking beer at the back of the car on a national highway. I said to my mates in the car, I said, if I took a photo and sent this to Austin, you know, the guy they know I work with guys in America. He would think I'm in lunatic town.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they would never,
Right,
they'll
right.
never believe it
Yeah.
unless I showed them a photo. It's
Right.
crazy.
It
No,
is.
so the interesting thing is like everybody's struggling at some point in their life, right? Everybody deals with their own struggle. It's just like how badly do you want to get out of that?
Yeah.
That's the only question you have to ask yourself.
That is it, bro.
A lot of people don't want to get out of it bad enough, or they just are lazy, or whatever the case is. Like there's a root cause of you staying in that position and not making changes. Right?
That's what I said to you when we met. I was like,
Yeah.
people act, and you heard me say it on Riz's podcast, like people talk like they want it, but their actions don't match that. They don't want it as bad as they thought. Because when it comes down to journaling, doing the self-work, getting comfortable taking losses, everything we've talked about today, when it comes down to all that, they don't want it. They can't take it.
And honestly, like, that's not to say you can't change, because I went through that
No,
period.
for sure.
I didn't want to journal. I didn't want to do any of
Right.
that shit. I just wanted the results.
Right.
Right? Until you actually like make a conscious effort is when you're
Until
gonna
you
start.
see that it's beneficial. Once you see that it's beneficial, then you are easier.
Because it's like it's like that slow parabolic.
Yes.
It's like a slow
Compounding.
parabolic curve.
Your knowledge
compounds, right?
compounds.
Like, yeah.
Yep. So, all right. Final question for you,
sorry.
Kyle. This has been great, bro. It's always good chatting with you. It's always good. What's coming? I know we talked a little bit about education. I know you just dropped a Telegram today. So tell everybody what's coming and where they can find you.
Honestly, like the future is, I guess it's interesting because I'm working with a couple partners on, I guess, a couple different things like software service, a software suite, like an educational service, and providing value in like a podcast, like kind of what you're doing with us. I would love to have you on. We're kind of just talking various topics, like a book review is one of them. We want to do like a mindset Mondays where it's just psychology, like a funded Fridays where it's just talking about funding, and just bringing people in and collaborating with other good traders, because there's so much room for growth. And not only providing like premium education service, because my time is valuable, right? Like people ask me all the time, like, why would you charge for a service if you could just trade? Well, because if people are demanding a service from me, right? Like I have to get paid a certain amount of money, otherwise I could just go into the markets and make 10x that, right? Like you could, if you're going to pay $100 for a service and make $500 on a trade that I call out live, that's worth the investment, dude.
Correct.
Pay for is risk reward. It'll pay for 5 months of and write it off against your income, dude. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So not only that, just engaging with the community, because I know there's a lot of people out there in different countries that don't have the means to pay for a funded challenge or a premium service. So like we're trying to have a global reach, so to speak. And I feel like where the internet's going with like Web3 and everything, I feel like we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg. We're not even like touching. When people think about like online trading, people didn't have access to markets like they do now. Like I read so many books. These people were waiting 3 days for their orders to get filled. Like that was like 30, 40 years ago. Like that's insane to me. And they're paying $100 both ways to get in and out of a trade.
Isn't that crazy, bro?
So insane. Yeah. And I think you were talking about the richest man in Babylon. Like when he's talking about like the sheep or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing, man. Like
same
it's the market,
thing, bro.
It's the market. This guy, and if people don't know about the story, right? This guy trusted this other guy with his herd of sheep, right? And I think he kind of just put too much trust into somebody that's not a professional. That's the moral of the story, is like you're putting your trust into somebody that's not a professional. He said, like, listen, I can return your investment like 10x. I know what I'm doing. And he like just foolishly gave the sheep over to this guy. Then the guy comes back, he's got no sheep left. He's like, what happened? He's like, I don't know, the deal went bad. It's literally the same way in the market. Like, if you want to be an expert, you have to become the expert.
Yep.
Right?
I love it. So
you have to find an expert, first of all, and then kind of rely on them.
From them. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Don't reinvent the wheel. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to make a big impact, I guess, in a bigger way than just
you're gonna, bro.
An education service.
It's gonna be a lot. That's why I wanted to have you on and introduce you to my audience and get people excited about it. So right now, can we just say JadeCap on Twitter?
JadeCapFX, yeah, Twitter, YouTube. Pretty much you can access my bio and on
that's
Twitter.
Where all the updates are. Everything.
I have all my links and stuff. Like I'm trying to add more resources in there as well.
Cool. I love it, bro. Yeah. Any last questions for him, James, before we set him free?
Maybe we'll talk one. I'll ask one other than trading. So I know that you mentioned just a cool one. You mentioned Dustin Johnson, who's a golfer.
Yeah.
Austin. I know you're not a golfer, Austin, so I just have to throw that out there. What do you like to do for, besides trading? Because trading is a lot more than just sitting at the desk. You have to have be active in other ways. Do you watch sports? What do you like to do for fun?
Yeah, so I watch sports. I used to be really big into competitive paintball, and that was like a big part of my life. Like I spent a ton of money on competitive paintball. We were kind of climbing
Austin.
but we were we were talking about it when we were in New York.
Nice.
But like, yeah, it was eating so much of my time and my money that I kind of like put that on the back burner. Not only that, like my whole team disbanded, so I don't have like a group of friends to play with anymore. So like we all kind of transitioned into golf, right? Like so all of us, some of my paintball friends, like our one friend from paintball, kind of got me and a couple other buddies jobs at that construction site where it was like private. It was a private gated golf community. They were giving us free lessons.
Oh,
like
wow.
It was so they had golf pros like teaching people. And like literally pros were playing there. Like it's not it's not like a public course. You can't just walk on this course, right?
Private course.
Extremely private. So the golf pros were legit. So like we kind of got into free lessons and I kind of picked that up. But yeah, like I love going camping. Like I love watching sports. Like I'm a huge Knicks fan. Go Knicks. They're in the playoffs.
Okay, then they're in the playoffs.
Yeah. And yeah, I like sports in general. Like I go hiking a lot. Like I like spending a lot of time outside and stuff and CrossFit. I'm training for a half. I'm training for a half marathon. The half marathon is on Sunday. Like I gave myself, I think 5 weeks of training, and you're really supposed to give yourself 16 weeks. But I feel like I'm in decent enough shape to get through a half.
Bro, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine.
Yeah, no problem, dude. Like I did 12 the other day, and I probably could have done another 12. Maybe
you're
not.
Fine, bro. You're fine. Bro,
honestly,
just like trading, it's all mental, bro.
It's a comparison thing, right? Like I'm not trying to measure myself against anybody that's racing.
No. You want to get it done.
I'm just trying to get across the finish line, right?
Yeah, bro. But it's all mental. Your legs will keep moving.
Mental,
it's all mental. Yeah, that's it.
No, this has been really cool though, Carl. I really appreciate it.
Didn't I tell you, James? We're so similar. Like me and you, and Kyle, like we very, very similar.
100%.
I think the thing is like traders. Like honestly, the thing about traders is like everybody talks about the same shit all the time. We start
becoming the same person.
Yeah, we start becoming the same person.
Yeah.
Right.
Carl,
in a way.
We'll have to go play paintball. You guys can shoot me because I suck at that. But then we can go on the golf course because I live on a golf course. Yeah, I play like 5-6 times a week. So we'll have to
do paintball and golf at the same time.
Yeah. and then the loser funds a funded account challenge.
Yeah. Now I like it. No, this has been great, Kyle. You are the man. So everybody's
awesome, James. Thanks for having me on, man.
Dude, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. Everybody, we appreciate you guys watching, listening. Make sure you subscribe. Hit us with comments. Let us know what questions you want us to ask Kyle. Maybe we'll bring him back on later this year. Touch base, see what he's up to, and all that fun stuff. So, Kyle, James, thank you, boys. Listeners, we appreciate you. Everybody, we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care.